Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Gaur Premanande.
It's just nice when you can see Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. Today text number 29 is under discussion. Samoham sarvabhuteshu,
Samoham sarvabhuteshu,
name dveshosti na priya,
name deshosti na priya,
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya,
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya,
maite teshu chapyaham,
maite teshu chapyaham.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu,
Samoham sarvabhuteshu,
name dveshosti na priya,
name dveshosti na priya,
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya,
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya,
maite teshu chapyaham.
maite teshu chapyaham.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu,
Samoham sarvabhuteshu,
name dveshosti na priya,
me dveshosti na priya,
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya,
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya,
maite teshu chapyaham.
maite teshu chapyaham. सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रिया भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् मोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रिया भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् मोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रिया भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् समोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् समोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् मोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्
Anybody else like to chant?
समोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्
Okay. Sama, equally disposed.
Equally disposed.
Aham,
Aham,
I. Sarvabhuteshu,
Sarvabhuteshu,
to all living entities.
all living entities.
Na, no one. Me, to me. Dvesha,
Vinasha,
hateful.
hateful.
Asti,
Asti,
is.
is.
Na,
Na,
nor.
nor.
Priya,
Priya,
dear.
dear.
Yea, those who.
Those who.
Bhajanti,
Bhajanti,
render transcendental service.
render transcendental service.
To, but,
But,
mam,
Mam,
unto me.
unto me.
Bhaktya,
Bhaktya,
in devotion.
in devotion.
Mai,
Mayi,
are in me.
are in me.
Te,
Te,
such persons.
such persons.
Teshu,
Teshu,
in them.
in them.
Cha, also.
Also.
Api,
Api,
certainly.
certainly.
Aham,
Aham,
I.
I.
Translation. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. You can all please repeat. I envy no one.
I envy no one,
Nor am I partial to anyone.
nor am I partial to anyone.
I am equal to all,
I am equal to all,
But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone and no one is his special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination. It is natural. Any man in the material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son. And so he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which turns rain. He's just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless of whether it falls on rock or land or water. But for his devotees, he provides specific attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They are always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendentally situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Mayi te, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the words Ye yata mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. Whoever surrenders unto me, proportionately I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time, the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter. And when a living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond, and so this combination is very nice. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of his devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present because the devotee and the Lord, if the reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personalist philosophy. In the impersonal philosophy, there is no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity. But in the personalist philosophy, there is. The example is often given that the Lord is like a desired tree, and whatever one wants from this desired tree, the Lord supplies. But here, the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to the devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord's reciprocation should not be considered to be under the law of karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and the devotees function. Devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world, where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Namahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the very heart of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is describing the most confidential knowledge. So there's knowledge, there's more confidential knowledge, and the most confidential knowledge. Knowledge is simply it's already been given in the 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Knowledge, to understand the difference between matter and spirit, or between the body and the soul. It's very basic, but it's very, very important. People often never even think about the soul. They simply think only of the body. Just like here in Singapore, on the weekend, you know, what are most people doing today? They're not thinking about the soul. You know, they're all going to the mall, and they're going to restaurants, and they're engaging in all kinds of material activities for the satisfaction of the senses. Sense satisfaction has to be there. We also want sense satisfaction. Everyone needs some sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada gives the example about salt. That when you cook, if there's no sense gratification, but it must be the proper amount of sense gratification. It should be prescribed according to Vedic direction. Just like we don't tell people not to eat, we say eat, but eat Krishna prasadam. And of course, Krishna prasadam means no meat, fish and eggs, these things. So basic principles are there. And if we follow these basic principles, we can have sense gratification. We enjoy ourselves. Devotees lead a happy life. That is going to be described in the next chapter, the King of Knowledge, where Lord Krishna will speak about Rajavijja Rajaguryam, Pavitram idam itamam prapyak svavagamam dharmyam susukam kartamavyam. Lord Krishna will describe this knowledge as the king of all knowledge. It's the most confidential knowledge, and it gives everlasting perception of the self by realization, and one can experience the transcendental pleasure of the soul. The nature of the soul is to be joyful, right? The spiritual world is not a monotonous place. It is not dreary. It is full of bliss and knowledge eternally. And our spiritual nature is also eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. But when we focus on the material, then some pleasure is there, but it will be very flickering, very temporary pleasure. The pleasure of the body on the material platform, it is very temporary, flickering. Sometimes we will sing that song that Bhaja Hari Mana, Srila Prabhupada sings, talks about Chapala Sukha Labha Lagire, right? That you have to work and you have to often serve wicked and miserly people for what? Simply for some flickering pleasure, some Chapala Sukha. So you do not get the ananda, you do not get the real pleasure, you simply get Chapala Sukha, flickering pleasure, very temporary pleasure. That is the nature of material pleasure. So Lord Krishna is explaining here in this 9th chapter the highest knowledge, the confidential knowledge. So there is knowledge, there is more confidential knowledge, and the most confidential knowledge. 7th chapter, 8th chapter is giving some more confidential knowledge, explaining the nature of the spiritual energy and the different potencies of the Lord. But now in this 9th chapter, the Lord is giving the most confidential knowledge. He's explaining about the relationship between the Lord and his devotees. There's a very special reciprocation between Krishna and Krishna's devotees. And Srila Prabhupada talks about this in the purport. He's explaining to us about this reciprocation which exists there. How the devotee wants to surrender himself to Lord Krishna. And the more the devotee gives himself up to Krishna, the more Krishna reciprocates and takes care, takes an interest in that devotee and helps that devotee to come to him. So Prabhupada explains that this kind of reciprocation is not there in the impersonalist philosophy. In the impersonalist philosophy, everything is one and everyone is one. There's no variety. There are no relationships because everyone is simply thinking of the oneness. So there's no question of any relationship or reciprocation because everyone is God. If everyone is God, then you don't have any relationship with God. So you don't have anyone to protect you. So Lord Krishna is explaining in this verse, he says, I envy no one, I am equal to all. Of course, it seems difficult for the non-devotee to understand. How is it possible that the Lord is equal to everyone? Because we know that sometimes the Lord will come and he will take the side of the devotees, or especially the demigods. The demigods are also devotees. They're not fully pure devotees, they're mixed devotees. But the demigods have done a lot of piety and they've been rewarded for their piety by being given positions to help in overseeing the administration of the universe. This is the position of the demigods, you see. They reside in Swargaloka, in the heavenly planets. And they enjoy a long life. They have a lot of knowledge. They have powers. They can see the future. They remember things from the past. They're gifted. They reside below the earthly planets. So in those lower regions, like Patala Loka, there is no sunlight. It's very dark, right? Just like yesterday it was quite dark here in Singapore. You know, there was no sunlight. When there's no sun, then certainly you feel the difference. It's not so pleasant. If you go to the UK, you can see that almost every day. Srila Prabhupada says, when he was asked, what's it like in hell? He said, just like here, the UK. Never see the sun. Every day cloudy, wet, damp. So the demons, they reside in the lower regions of the universe. And it's very dark. It says that they light the place with jewels on their body. So they're living in that dark place. They're always thinking about conquering the heavenly planets. There's always this battle between the demons and the demigods, the asuras and the devas. They're fighting each other. Often we see that churning of the milk ocean. The demigods and the demons, they combine together to get the nectar of immortality. Right? They were churning the milk ocean and they produced different things. At one point they produced Airavrata, the elephant, and Uchishrava, the horse. And then they produced also Lakshmi came, she was taken as a consort by Lord Narayan. different things were churned from the milk. Oh, finally, the nectar of immortality came. Dhanvantari was carrying the nectar of immortality. And the demons naturally wanted to get it. They thought, let's get it, we will take it all for ourselves. And they were fighting, the demigods and the demons, because they had joined together to churn the milk ocean. And when the nectar was produced, then both sides wanted to take it for themselves. And at that time, Mohini Murti, the Lord appeared in the form as Mohini Murti, the most attractive, beautiful woman. She came in the form of a goddess, and she charmed everyone. Everyone saw her, they all became under her spell. This is the power, the magic of the beautiful woman, that she can put everyone under her spell. So Mohini Murti came and said, I will distribute the nectar for you. And she took the nectar and she began to give it to the demigods. You know, you could say, well, why didn't she give it to the demons? But we have to understand that the Lord is partial, although he said, I'm not partial to anyone, I'm equal to everyone. He does have some favor to those who give him service, because the demigods are engaged in some service for the Lord. Therefore the Lord reciprocates and he provides for them. He's not going to let the demons take the nectar of immortality. Although at one point, Rahu did sit down with all the demigods. And Rahu also, he got a share of the nectar of immortality. And it just entered in his throat. And at that moment, the Lord cut off his head with the Sudarshan chakra. And so because he drank the nectar, the head of Rahu stayed alive and the body died. But the head had already absorbed the nectar, so the head didn't die. So Rahu is still there. Sometimes we get eclipses, and Srila Prabhupada said this is caused by Rahu, that he can cover up the moon or sometimes the sun, and we get eclipses, inauspicious situations. So the Lord certainly does. He does show some partiality. But Srila Prabhupada explains this is natural. Another example which Srila Prabhupada sometimes gives to explain this partiality of the Lord towards his devotees is that just like in a high court, if you go to the court and the judge is there, now one person comes along and he's been injured in the factory, maybe there was an accident and he got injured, and you know he can't work for a long time, so he's come to the court to get compensation. He's suing the company that maybe the company didn't take proper care of the safety of their employees, and he's demanding some compensation from the company. And so the judge may hear the case and he may decide, yes, you deserve to be compensated, and he may reward the man that you should be given $10,000 compensation to make up for all your injury and your time off work and everything. And then the next man comes along and stands in the court, and he's charged with robbery, armed robbery, and the judge listens to the case and everything, said, all right, 5 years in prison. And so the criminal may say, I have to go to prison for 5. You just gave the other man $10,000. Why you put me in jail for 5 years? He may protest to the judge that you're not fair. You're partial to him. But the judge said, no, I have to consider your worth. What are you worth? What have you done? What do you deserve? Do you deserve to be punished, or do you deserve to be rewarded? Right? It's the law of karma. The law of karma is very well known, you know, in all the cultures, ancient cultures of the world. We have a saying in Chinese, actually, we say, Zhong do de do, Zhong gua de gua. Right? The meaning is, if you plant beans, you will harvest beans. And if you plant melons, you will harvest melons. Right? In other words, you get the results of your work. If you've done good, you'll be rewarded with good results. And if you've done something very bad, you've injured, maybe you've killed somebody or injured someone, you've robbed someone, you've taken what, you get punished for that. It's the law of karma. The seeds which we sow bring results according to our activities. And Lord Krishna considers each and every person's work. How much do they deserve to be punished, and how much do they deserve to be rewarded? So it's not partiality, it's just fair. You get what you deserve. We get the results of our own activities. It's all happening. It's not just by chance, but it's the law of nature. And the laws of nature grind very fine. Right? This is the laws of the Supreme Lord. We may escape the law of the state, the law of the government, you may be able to get away from them. But the law of the Supreme Lord, you cannot escape. Because He has His agents everywhere. He sees everything. He knows everything we're doing. You can't say, I didn't do anything, I didn't do it. The Lord knows everything about each and every one of us. What have we done in the past? And we get the results. It's not by chance. Right? So Lord Krishna is explaining this principle here, how He has a special affection for His devotees. Someone who's got some devotion, who has devoted themselves to the service of Lord Krishna, then Lord Krishna has a special love for them. Just like Lord Ramachandra said, anyone who utters my name one time, I can never give them up. That because they've called my name, I can never let them go. And Lord Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Kunti apriti janihi nami bhakta pranasha. My devotee will never perish. Lord Krishna takes note of what we've done, and we get the results. The seeds they're sown. We have to understand the Lord is a person. And just like each and every one of us, we have feelings. Lord Krishna also has feelings. And He feels transcendental pleasure when He sees His devotees endeavoring for His pleasure. The more we're willing to endeavor for the pleasure of Krishna, the more we get the mercy of Krishna. The more the mercy comes, the mercy means the Lord will reveal Himself to the devotees more and more. We have to have that faith in serving the Supreme Lord. So faith comes about by hearing from the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna's own words, how He cares for His devotees, You could say, well, he says I'm equal to everyone. Yeah, he gives everyone a chance, right? He said, I am in the heart of everyone. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. That is true for everyone. Everyone's getting a fair chance, according to what we deserve. What do we want? The Lord is in the heart. He knows what we're thinking, what we want, and He fulfills our desires. It is not haphazard. It is not just, we could say, oh, it should be the same for everyone. No, it's not the same for everyone, because not everyone is the same. Everyone has different ideas and different things they want, different desires. So we get the results according to our qualification. Qualification is understood by how much we're inclined to do service for the Lord. How much are we willing to put ourselves out to accept some difficulties on the behalf of Lord Krishna. Just like Queen Kunti, we see in the teachings of the prayers of Queen Kunti, they're there in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, and Queen Kunti, she describes that Vipada Shantuta Shasvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru. She said, let all of these calamities happen again and again. And now Queen Kunti had suffered unbelievable problems, very great problems she'd gone through. As a mother, she had 3 children. Then Madri, her co-wife, she had 2 children. But the husband, Pandu, he died, and Madri went with Pandu. She also gave up her life to go with Pandu. So Kunti had to bring up 5 children on her own, with no one, no husband there. And then Dhritarashtra and his sons were always planning how to get rid of them, because Dhritarashtra was actually the senior member of the Kuru family. He was first before Pandu, but Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. So Dhritarashtra, because he was blind, he could not be the king. So Pandu became the king. But then Pandu died, and then the throne came back to Dhritarashtra, although he was blind. And Dhritarashtra, naturally, he wanted the kingdom should go to his sons. And he had 100 sons headed by Duryodhana. And he wants, they should be the king. And so they were always planning to kill the Pandavas, get rid of them. And so they were sent to live in a house which was made of shellac. And then they set the house on fire. The whole thing burned. Fortunately, because of some help from Vidura, they had escaped and they did not die in the fire. But it was close. They could have died. And then Bhima was given poisoned food and he could have died, but somehow, by some miracle, he was saved. And then the battle of Kurukshetra took place, and the odds were against the Pandavas, but somehow they came out victorious. So like this, one disaster after another. Of course, they had been sent in exile to the forest for 12 years, and the chastity of their wife Draupadi was also threatened. So many things happened to them, one after another. So Kunti, she could have said, why is this happening to me? What have I done to deserve this? But she doesn't say like that, because she's a devotee, and the devotees understand the plan of the Lord. And the devotee understands that the difficulties which come, they're all the mercy of the Lord to help us to think of Him more, to come closer to Him. So that is the thinking of a devotee, to accept all the difficulties and go on with devotional service. When we have that kind of mood, then Krishna's very happy and He's ready to take you back home, back to Godhead. But if we're always thinking, oh, I just want to be comfortable here, that's not very good. A comfortable life will never last very long in this world. Mamo paichya punerjanma duk alayam ashasvatam napnovanti mahatmana samsadim paramam gata. Right? That we should understand the nature of this world. That it is temporary and it's full of misery. Of course, they do a good job to make people comfortable here in Singapore. We have to admit, that people are pretty comfortable here, but it's all temporary. If you were to go back 1940s and see life in Singapore was not so comfortable. It changes. Things change. Everything is temporary in this material world. And we are also temporary. We don't belong here in this place. This is not our real home. And Krishna is waiting for us to go back to Him. And in order to encourage us to come back to Him, He sends His pure devotees. He sends the great acharyas who come here to preach to us. And Lord Krishna came Himself and spoke this Bhagavad Gita. And He performed so many different pastimes. And He comes in different incarnations just to attract the attention, to get the devotees, to bring them out of this material entanglement here in this world. So we have to be convinced about our spiritual nature. Yes, we do have a real home, and our real home is not here. Our real home is with Krishna in the kingdom of God. This place is kunt, this is all anxiety, but there is the Vaikuntha, there is the spiritual abode, and we can go there. We have to prepare ourselves, we have to train ourselves. Therefore, the Lord has come in the deity form, the Archa Vigraha. Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra have come to give us all the opportunity that we can practice doing archana. We can practice worshipping the Lord in His deity form. It's a preparation for going back home, back to Godhead. We want to be very eager to engage in these kind of activities, to take up the worship of the Lord according to the different standards, the rules and regulations. Yes, there are standards to worship the deity. This is the training which we need to control the mind and senses, to fix it on the Supreme Lord. That we do these things for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. We engage in His loving service. And this is how we become qualified to go to the spiritual world. So we have seen so many wonderful devotees, even in the short time of our Krishna consciousness movement. We've seen how people have dedicated themselves to the service of the deities. The archana process, very powerful, to control our mind and senses, to fix ourselves in Krishna's service. Chanting the holy name, of course, is also important. We cannot forget the chanting of the holy name. But everyone should also take an opportunity to engage in the worship of the deities. Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion how everyone from time to time should take turn to offer the arti, for the Lord, and sometimes also to cook for the Lord, to prepare some nice preparations for His pleasure, to make the garlands for the deity, to dress the deities, to make ornaments for the deities. In Mayapur, we have big deities, and we have a group of ladies there. They're making the jewelry for the deities. Every day they will meet together for an hour or two, and they will make different ornaments for the deities. And they bring all the ornaments, they bring them from places like China. They bring them to Mayapur to make the nice necklaces and wristlets and anklets and all different ornaments for the deity. This is how we serve the deities. We need to put ourselves in that consciousness to be the servant. Because material life, when we become comfortable, we think, I am the master. We think, I am the enjoyer. This is for my pleasure. That is not the right mentality. We have to understand we are the servant, and our position is to give pleasure to Krishna, to please Krishna, not to be so much concerned about our own pleasure, but to give pleasure to Krishna. And when we please Krishna, we will also feel pleasure. We will feel naturally transcendental bliss by engaging in Krishna's service. It is natural because Krishna's in everyone's heart. And when we engage in His service, we feel the pleasure. Just like we're coming now, the month of December, it's Christmas marathon, right? Around the world, we call it the Prabhupada marathon. And we take this opportunity to try to distribute books. It's very important for us. Although, of course, you can say, no, nobody reads books anymore. Everybody has soft copies. You know, it's all on the internet. You know, but actually, still, you can distribute books. And book distribution. There are people out there who are willing to take books, and giving books to people is a very wonderful experience, that you can feel transcendental bliss when somebody will take a book. If somebody gets a book, you know, I was hearing Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He was on a television show in Canada, and the man was asking him, I've seen you people on the street, you're always forcing people to give money and to take your books. But Gopal Krishna Maharaj said, no, I said that was in the beginning. He said in the beginning we were beginning our movement, we used to do it. But he said now, he said we give out books, anybody wants a book, we can give them the book, you know. But still, if they can give a donation, of course we will take it. like that. So the same way, Christmas marathon. Get some books. Everyone should take the responsibility to try to distribute some books. Prabhupada wrote the books, and Prabhupada wanted us, he said, this is our family business, right? We're a family, the Krishna conscious family, and we have a business. Just like maybe, if you're a Marwari or something, they have the family business. Sometimes you see in Vrindavan that children are in the shop, they do everything. Children take care of the business. So we are the children. Srila Prabhupada began Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati actually began, and Srila Prabhupada continued from his own guru. So we also should continue. We need to distribute books. Actually, in England now, one devotee told me, he came from the UK, and he told me, he said, on the streets in England, they can distribute a whole set of books. They don't just distribute one book, they distribute a set. They have a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, so they get someone to take that book, take the whole set. Right on the street. They're doing things like that. You can do it. Some devotee, he came from Salem and he went to America. They were in Atlanta and they were doing book distribution. And then one day he distributed 1,200 and something books, big books. How did he do it? So many books. He was just standing outside a shop distributing books, and he got people to take sets of books. So this is happening today. People are not just distributing one little magazine. In the beginning, when I came to the Krishna consciousness movement, we were giving out Back to Godheads. We had Back to Godhead magazine. And the rule was, somebody can give money. If they give a donation, take it. If they don't have any money, it's okay, let them take it. It's all like that. But then there was no money to print the books. And Prabhupada said, no, he said, everybody has to give, they have to pay something for the book. Otherwise, how will we print more books? If we give out the books free, then there'll be no more money to print new books. And there'll be no books for preaching. So he said, you have to pay for the books, you have to get some. And then he said, book distribution means big book distribution. In the beginning, we were just distributing small books, but then Prabhupada said, no, you have to distribute big books. Oh, Krishna. And now, we're saying you have to distribute sets of books. Not one book, whole boxes of books. Gopal Krishna Goswami was very expert. They would arrange, his disciples would arrange for him to go to people in India. He'd go to people who were running big companies, and he would get them to buy containers of books. He said, you should take a container, and you send whole container of Bhagavad Gitas, and then everybody in the company would get a Bhagavad Gita. So that's book distribution, that's how Delhi was distributing books like that. Wildfire. So think big, Prabhupada said, go hunting, don't go for the rhino, don't go hunting for rabbits. If you miss a rabbit, they'll laugh at you. So hunt the rhino. So think big. Prabhupada taught us. Prabhupada said, I cannot think small. You have to think big. You want to please Srila Prabhupada, you have to think big. Distribute sets. Distribute a container. If you can distribute one container of books, we'll be very happy, right? We'll be very proud of you. So many big companies here in Singapore, so many big factories, so many workers. You should go and get these bosses, get the managers, get them buy a container of books, distribute Bhagavad Gita, everyone. They'll get the mercy. You know, that is preaching. We have to think big. So it can be done. Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. You can do it. You just have to make the effort. Krishna will help. Krishna arranged it. You know, I went to Delhi. I was in Delhi in 1975. We had a little house, small house. Radhapartha Sarati deities were there. And we were in a little rented house in Bengali market. And today there's 18 temples in Delhi. And many centers for, what do they call them? You know, they have these student places where people are students there and they're staying there and they have a program every day like that. You know, bases or something they call them. So they have so many activities. It's all going on. Why? Because they did so much book distribution. They distributed books profusely, wildly. Many people got books. They took up Krishna consciousness. Now we have big temples there, and more temples are coming up. This year they opened a big temple in Rohini. There's a subdivision in Delhi called Rohini. It's one of the biggest subdivisions in the world. So many people live there. Lakhs and lakhs of people. So they have a big temple there. And they have the temple east of Kailash. There's another big temple coming up at Dwarka, which is near to the airport there in Delhi. That's Punjabi Bagh. They bought over the neighbor's house and they're expanding the whole center at Punjabi Bagh, making a big center. They're doing huge things. Now Singapore, what are you doing? Well, we rent a little place. We have our rented place. We have to think big. We have to think big, you know. The world is there, just waiting for us to go forward. Man proposes, God disposes. So we have to have that enthusiasm. You know, it's great that we're here. Prabhupada couldn't even get in here. But in Prabhupada's time, they wouldn't let Prabhupada in the country, you know. So, you know, we've made a lot of progress. The fact that we're here at all. But, you know, I have to keep going forward and do more and more. Okay, Hare Krishna, any questions? Anyone? Any challenges? Everybody